Oh, very good morning. If you've just tuned in, where have you been? We're off to a flying start. An incredible weekend of sport awaits us. I could give a really long intro because there are so many things happening, but I'm going to dive right in with sports anchor Jeremy Harris and start with the Currie Cup. Round 3, it's been interesting. Dobson lambasting Western Province and losing to the Sharks. But after round 2, how are you feeling? Are the Griquas still the kind of surprise outfit? Will they tap off now that the Springboks are starting to be let go from the squad? How do you see this?
No, look, I mean, with respect, I think that the Griquas are a bit of a surprise package. But I say with respect because they've always been a hard team to play against. But they're coming away with the results now. And, wow.
So it's 2 wins from 2.
2 from 2. I can't see them losing this weekend either. They're a hard team, and particularly when they play at home. But, I mean, I know that when they're on the road as well, they're also tricky to get past. You know, talk to me in a couple of weeks' time, and who knows? They may be also top of the table.
But it's always like that. Maybe the World Cup focus will shift it away from this normal dynamic where you see, especially with the Free State doing so well until Springboks laden sides, you know, so with the Super Rugby franchises basically get shoved back into the final round, and that's when we see that imbalance addressed. The Sharks, how are you feeling about the Currie Cup campaign? They looked very strong in the right areas against Province. Was it just a below par performance from Province?
I think it was. I think it was a very off-colour performance from Western Province, and they themselves this past week were talking about the fact that they disappointed themselves, they let themselves down.
Didn't respect the blue and whites.
Well, exactly. So I think that what they're going to be doing is pulling their socks up. At the same time, I mean, a win is a win, and the Sharks were going, look at the scoreboard, as Joos van der Westhuizen once famously said. You know, look at the scoreboard. We came away with the win, and they did what they needed to do. No,
completely. So we've got the Pumas up against the Bulls. That's tonight. We've got Cheetahs up against Griquas. Going to be a mighty tussle. Then Province up against Lions. Both teams, I think, needing to prove a point. Let's shift gears. To Hockenheim, to the Formula One. I suppose, you know, we've been talking about Formula One needing a bit of an injection, some excitement. Obviously, Hamilton dominating. He is a true class champion, but the German race always throws up something exciting. We know the British Grand Prix last week was phenomenal. It was exciting. There was crashes, there was overtaking, young guns tussling it out. Will Vettel stay on the track? Will he knock anyone else off? I mean, how are you feeling about Formula One this year? And how are you feeling about Hockenheim? Because it can be a very exciting track, or more of the same.
Formula One has become a bit of a procession this year. It's sort of more of the same. And so, I mean, as much as I admire the performance of Lewis Hamilton, I really would like just a little bit more sort of intrigue and competition.
Leclerc, come on, Leclerc.
Very well be. I mean, the Ferraris do very well in Germany. Not to say that Sebastian Vettel does well in Germany, but the Ferraris tend to do well there, so maybe it's their weekend.
Well, I think that, you know, by virtue of the fact that he crashed up for no apparent reason last year, I think that was what compounded things. But it's going to be an exciting one on a very fast track. Expect lots of overtaking and a nice ode, I think, to Michael Schumacher. That was a track that he was absolutely dominant on. So let's hope that the youngsters perform there as well. But currently, Lewis Hamilton leading Valtteri Bottas by some margin. Verstappen there with the Red Bulls, but then you've got Sebastian Charles Leclerc in the Ferraris, there and thereabouts. It could still become quite exciting.
Very exciting, absolutely.
Petrol heads, don't be, don't lose hope. Carling Black Label Cup, the first big derby game. We're a week away from football season.
Can't believe it. It wasn't just the other day we were talking about who won the Champions League.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready for the English Premier League. I'm not ready for the transfer news. It's all crazy. But how are you feeling about Pirates and Chiefs? They've got some work to do this year.
Absolutely. Look, I mean, more so Chiefs than Pirates. And I think that they will want to make a statement straight up. So they're going to go into this one looking for the win. It's not going to be good enough to come away with I snuck a 1-0 win or a 0-0 draw.
This is not a cup final. We don't want a 1-0 penalty shootout.
Play the game, and hopefully we get some good entertainment out of it.
Yeah, and I'm hoping AFCON has set the bar for local football this year, because we saw what our players are capable of. You know, and I know Sundowns had a very strong connection to that, but right across the board, we have got players that can perform at the very highest level. So let's see more of that. Okay, racing along, shifting gears. Again. Do the Tour de France bikes have gears? How do that? Or they just one gear? One gear. No. You're either a mountain climber, or you're a time trialer, or how are you feeling?
Any bike that goes 70 k's plus has got to have gears.
Yeah, dude, and they've been pushing those speeds. I mean, it is in the mountains. We're seeing some an interesting year in terms of the dynamic. Alaphilippe looking brilliant. Has he got it? Because it's not like he's absolutely dominating, but Quintana getting the later stage win in the mountains. How are you feeling about it?
I think it's Alaphilippe for the win. And I think what I've been seeing lately is even when he drops back, when there's a breakaway and they get a good sort of gap on the peloton, you know, I'm seeing Alaphilippe's team manage him back into contention. And they make sure that he finishes, you know, with the right amount of leeway, breathing space to keep the yellow jersey, to keep the maillot jaune. And I think that come Sunday, you know, there's no good reason that he can't do that.
And that'll be quite a momentous thing.
Massive celebrations. Close Paris down because it's going to be a party.
And it's going to be hot. It's going to be the hottest day probably that Paris has ever experienced. Buddy, well done. We covered a lot of ground there. I normally talk fast, but I really tried. Of course, it is a Bock Friday, so we're going to get into a massive rugby championship test happening in New Zealand tomorrow. The Springboks up against the All Blacks, less than a month away from when they will meet again in the Rugby World Cup. We'll discuss that in a moment.